right, so let's get right into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden world of viruses. But we're not really talking about what they do. We're talking about how they're built. There is a secret and, frankly, a stunning architecture at play here, and we're about to take a little tour.
Okay, so first things first. Let me ask you a question. When I say the word virus, what do you see in your head? Just take a second. You got an image?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's probably something like this, right? A sphere with all these little spikes sticking out. I mean, it's the image we see everywhere, on the news, in textbooks, and you know what? That's not wrong.
But it's kind of like saying all buildings are just boxes. The reality is this incredible, mind-boggling gallery of different shapes and forms, and every single one is designed with this breathtaking precision for a very specific purpose. This isn't just biology, you guys. This is nature doing nanotechnology. So, welcome to the gallery. We are about to explore the core blueprints that nature uses to build these incredible, self-assembling little machines. Let's start with one of the most fundamental designs out there, the spiral. Think of these as the skyscrapers and the filaments of the viral world, and they're all built on this beautifully simple principle. And that principle is called helical symmetry. I want you to picture a spiral staircase. Okay, now the railing of that staircase, that's the virus's genetic material, it's RNA. And each individual step is a protein, and it locks perfectly into place to protect that railing. It's just an elegant and incredibly strong design. And what's so cool is how this one simple spiral idea leads to two totally different styles. On one hand, you've got rigid rods, like the famous tobacco mosaic virus. These things are unbending, they're strong, almost like a tiny steel beam. And then you have the flexuous rods, like potato virus Y. They're way longer and, well, flexible, kind of like a piece of string. Just a tiny little tweak in how that spiral is wound creates a completely different form factor.
All right, let's move on to the next exhibit in our gallery. We're leaving the straight lines behind because now we're going to look at the most popular shape in the entire viral kingdom, the sphere. Or, to be a little more precise, the icosahedron.
So, why is this shape so common? Why do so many viruses use it? Well, it all boils down to pure, simple geometric efficiency. An icosahedron gives you the absolute biggest internal space you can get using the smallest number of repeating parts. It's basically nature's version of a geodesic dome. Now, to understand how these spheres are put together, virologists have this thing called a triangulation number, or just a T number. And honestly, the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like a model construction kit, like Legos or something. The T number tells you how many pieces you're working with, and exactly how they all fit together to build bigger and more complicated structures.
So, the most basic kit you can get is a T equals 1. This gives you a perfect icosahedron, and it's built from exactly 60 identical protein pieces. That's the absolute minimum you need to make a fully enclosed sphere. It's the foundational structure, small, simple, perfectly symmetrical, and it's used by some of the absolute tiniest viruses we know of.
But what if the virus has more stuff to carry? What if it needs a bigger container for more genetic material? Well, nature just scales up the design. It moves to a T equals 3 construction. Now it's using 180 of those protein subunits, and it creates a bigger, more complex version of that same fundamental shape. It's a really common blueprint out there in the viral world.
And the scalability is just brilliant. To build an even bigger particle, the blueprint can scale all the way up to T equals 7. This thing is a megastructure. It uses 420 protein pieces to build this massive, super robust shell that's capable of protecting a much, much larger genome.
So, okay, we've seen the rods and we've seen the spheres. Those are kind of the two great schools of viral design. But now we're entering the wing of the museum for the truly weird stuff. These are the viruses that totally break the mold with some really unique architectural solutions. First up, we've got the bacilliform shape. So imagine you take one of those spiral rods we talked about, you stretch it out a bit, and then you just pop 2 rounded ends on it. What you get looks almost exactly like a little medicine capsule, and you see this design in viruses like the banana streak virus. Now this one's wild. Geminate basically means twinned. These viruses are literally 2 of those T equals 1 icosahedrons, but they're incomplete, and they've been fused together. It's a totally unique solution that creates this unmistakable 2-headed particle.
Then you have viruses that just take complexity to a whole other level. Meet the multi-shelled viruses. These are like architectural Russian nesting dolls. You've got an inner protein core, and it's surrounded by another, even bigger, outer shell. It is an incredibly intricate and really fortified design.
And finally, we have the masters of disguise, enveloped viruses. They don't just build a protein shell. They go a step further. They wrap themselves in a cloak, a lipid membrane that they literally steal from the host cell that they just infected. It's the perfect way to hide from the immune system.
Okay, so we've seen this incredible diversity, right? Rods, spheres, capsules, twins, the whole shebang. But all of this, it begs a really, really important question.
Does any of this actually matter? I mean, is it all just for show, or does this specific architecture of a virus fundamentally change its job, its function in the world?
And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. Take two of those geminate, those twinned viruses we just saw. The maize streak virus has these little protein subunits that actually poke outwards from its shell. And that very specific feature is like a physical key that allows it to be picked up and transmitted by leafhoppers. Meanwhile, the African cassava mosaic virus has this tiny little loop on its surface, made of just 6 amino acids. And that tiny architectural detail is the only thing that lets it get transmitted by whiteflies. So you see, structure isn't just for show. Structure is function.
And really, that's the big takeaway here. Every single shape we've looked at today, from the simplest little rod to the most complex multi-shelled sphere, every single one is a purpose-built tool. It is a highly evolved solution to the universal problems of survival, replication, and transmission. And that kind of leaves you with one last big thought, doesn't it? What we're really looking at here are the blueprints for self-assembling nanomachines that have been perfected over millions and millions of years. So the question isn't just what they do to us, but maybe, what can their incredible architectural designs teach us about building things on a scale we're only just beginning to imagine?